Hey guys, Brian with Center Consoles Only here and Orion. Behind us, we have our CCO demo boat. You all have seen it at numerous boat shows, but she is getting a massive upgrade right now. We have our Seakeeper 1 that we're going to be installing. It will be a deck mount install, so we will be using their installation plate. That's going to get plexused onto our deck that the lamination schedule was approved for, and then that's going to get bolted on and wired up. The boys have already gotten started. If you come with me, I will give you a little peek here. Basically, as part of the install, we got to grind down the gel coat and take it to bare fiberglass in order for the plexus to have full adherence. Now, this is probably one of the most sensitive areas here, considering that this is going to be its method of bonding. It's a full chemical bond. We're even having to do some work on the plate itself. That aluminum plate is going to take a primer which etches that metal to allow the plexus to absorb into it and make a super strong chemical bond that will not allow this Seakeeper to move, not even one iota. Now come over here and let's check out the battery pack that's going to give us all the juice we need to run this as long as we want. So right here we have two 180 amp hour batteries that we're going to be running alongside that Seakeeper, just underneath that leaning post, and that's going to give us a ton of running time. On our last boat, we only had two Group 31s, and we can easily go 8 hours with that Seakeeper running and never had an issue with power running out. This will give us enough juice to actually run to the Bahamas, use it for a couple days, and still make it back without having to worry about charging it while we're there. Should be pretty awesome. So right now we are putting the plate, we used their installation bolts to go ahead and create kind of a gap here so that we have a little bit of a working area. We have to sand this down to 80 grit and then use that primer that we talked about earlier on it to open up those pores and accept the plexus. From there, after we've got the primer all wiped off and make sure everything's nice and good, clean, and it's not going to have any adherence issues, we'll go ahead and apply the plexus, mix it, apply it to our work surface, which is going to be this aluminum plate, and then set it in place. It's going to be an interesting process. This plate weighs about 75 pounds. Thankfully, we have the help of our good man Jason over there, make it a little easier for us to get it in there. All right, so we're about to apply the primer. We just sanded it down to 80 grit as the instructions required. We're going ahead and getting this primer on here. Now this is a primer cleaner. Unlike what you would associate with a typical primer, this primer cleaner is actually going to end up drying out and expanding the pores of this material. It's quite fragrant. Smells a lot like rubbing alcohol. I don't know what the components is or what the chemical structure is, but we should have enough residue on here once it's all wiped down to go ahead and give us the desired effect when we're all done. It's gonna leave like a pink hue in the background.
So you know you got it all?
Yeah, but that's, you wanna do it until the rag is clean.
Like it doesn't come pink.
Right, you don't want it to keep coming off. And as per the instructions, there's plenty of residue, even if you don't think there is, if you follow the method that they select. So we mixed the plexus, 1-to-1 ratio, exactly as they told us. We're using the 590 from Plexus. Now this stuff, as you can see, mixes in a nice gray color. And what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're actually gonna apply it to our base here, and then we will trowel it on. Now I'm gonna do my absolute best to trowel it on as well as possible. Now you may be asking why you see that green tape on there. Now that green tape is there so that we don't plug up the screw holes that actually make it all the way through the plate, because once this plexus sets, it's going to be borderline impossible to get it off. Let's see how my troweling skills are. I got a lot in this bucket that I will be applying. I just want to make sure I get complete coverage all the way throughout. So it might take a couple of passes, but we will get it right. So now comes the part where both Jason and I display our flexibility. We're actually going to flip this 75-pound plate. Both going to creep in here and put it down in its place, hopefully in the right place. I guess we'll see how it goes. You know what we can do is just tip it on its side because it's going to be on this edge, and that way we can reposition our hands. So let's slide it back a little bit and then tip it up. Yeah.
They just paid the big bucks.
Oh man.
1, 2.
Yeah.
All right.
You want to play your side first?
I'm good here.
So on this, we have a 90-minute work time. Because of the temperature here being about 85 degrees, I figured we'd be in the range of 90 to 120, which is what they told us. Probably towards the shorter end of that, but given the fact that we had prepared our space, prepared the deck, we actually only needed about 90 seconds after we applied it. So it worked out really, really well. Can't wait to see this thing installed. By tomorrow, it'll be cured 100%. Actually, I think in 4 hours or so. What Jay's doing here is he's removing that tape to make sure that we don't have any of this plexus on here after the fact, because this stuff will not come off in any way, shape, or form after, say, a couple hours from now. It looks really, really good. We're gonna end up putting a piece of starboard in here, kind of dress it up. We're gonna have one battery of the ones that we showed you earlier on either side of the Seakeeper, which basically are about the same length. I think the battery's about 22 inches long. The Seakeeper, the plate's 24 inches long. So it'll be right alongside it. It'll be 100% self-contained in this space. We're actually gonna have a remote key switch on here, which will be activated from the console. We're gonna have our lighting in here as well. Go ahead and give us that nice backlight. And then we're gonna design something here, a nice little piece of acrylic with some logos on it to kind of show this off and make this a showpiece for the next boat shows that you see us at. See you tomorrow when we go and drop this puppy in there. Can't wait. All right, so as I mentioned, we're putting a starboard piece down here to go ahead and trim off the Seakeeper deck plate. It's 1.25 inches tall, so we used a half-inch starboard, routed out the edges to cover the flange in the leaning post and really make it look as clean as possible. I think it's coming out really, really nice, and we're very close to dropping that Seakeeper in here. So we're finally at the point here. George is finishing up our outlet pipe connecting the Seakeeper out to our through-hole fitting. So last little bit there in the bilge. The console, or leaning post rather, is ready to receive the Seakeeper at this point. All the rigging is done. You'll see we have the cables tie wrapped off to the side, just so we can slide that thing in without pinching any one of our rigging cables. Work inside the console is done as well. So it's literally time to hoist that Seakeeper in the air, slide it up over, and get it in her place.
Well, Seakeeper 1 at roughly 300 pounds, having a gantry like this is pretty much the only way, other than maybe a forklift, but this should be a pretty comfortable way to set it up properly while it's in midair. And we're hoping we get over the outboards, and then we can drop it right into the cockpit area of the Orion. So first time we do this, we'll see how it works out.
Extremely successful startup. Everything went off without a hitch. We tested it with their 5-inch display just to make sure everything worked at the Seakeeper itself. And then we got it hooked up to our SIMRAD with their 4-pin to SIMRAD converter, which just puts it on the SIMRAD network. So as you can see, we have the app right on the MFD, our nice 24-inch MFD. Essentially, the next step for us is to take it to the water and actually test it out. But as it stands, this is in 100% working order. We've got it spooled up to just about 100% now. The draw will start dropping as it's already reached max spool. And right now, as we're not moving around and we don't have it locked in, it should draw very little energy going forward just to maintain that spool.
So we finally got out here in a bit of a rougher sea. It's not terribly choppy out here, but the boat was rocking quite a bit. We got to test it. Hopefully you can see it from the footage we were able to capture. But the boat, I mean, has been pinned straight here the entire time. Could not be more comfortable, and we could not be happier than we are with this Seakeeper 1 on the Orion 29. We hope you guys enjoyed the process from the installation all the way through to the final product, and that's more of the kind of stuff we want to bring to you here at Center Consoles Only. So thank you once again, and we'll see you soon.